recognize that your welcome muscle was a little weak? I know in this congregation, probably not. But think about that. When somebody says thank you, to say you're welcome. And let me go on one little short tangent. When somebody tells you that you look really nice today, oh, I love your necklace, I love that combination. Thank you. What do we normally say? Oh, this old thing? I've had this forever, right? Lisa, your hair looks really good today. Oh, no, it doesn't. It needs to be cut. How can anybody have good hair with this humidity, right? Okay. Thank you is a complete sentence. So when somebody tells you, I love your dress, love your necklace, you look great today, thank you. And then, shut up. Okay? We got a deal? So homework assignment number 2, think about that person that needs to hear from you. Call them on the phone. Or better yet, write them a note, write them a letter of appreciation. Because when you tell somebody you appreciate them, you create a beautiful memory. When you write it down, you create a treasure. And every one of you in this Renaissance today have the opportunity to create that treasure. So we've looked at self, we've looked at our relationship with others. How does it impact our wealth? It starts with being thankful for what we have. Whether you look in your wallet, you open it up, you have $1 in there, you have a couple $100, or your wallet is completely filled with plastic like mine is. Be thankful for it. We are so incredibly blessed. We know from the law of attraction that what we focus on expands. When we focus on lack, when we focus on poverty, guess what? We get more. When we focus on that abundance, on that dollar, on whatever we have, we get more. There's a website called the globalrichlist.com. And I did some research and I found out that poverty level in the United States is $11,670. If you make less than that amount of money, you are considered poor in the United States. Well, I took that figure, $11,670, and I put it in Global Rich List to see how our poor rank with the rest of the world. And do you know what I found? At $11,670, you are in the top 14.68% of the wealthiest people in the world. We need to start looking at what we have right here, right now, and being grateful for it. One of the finest books that I've ever read is Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. Dr. J, I know you've read it a gazillion times. Who else has read Think and Grow Rich? Okay, homework assignment number 3, for those of you whose hands aren't up, it was a book written by Napoleon Hill. Napoleon was a journalist in the 1920s, and he had the opportunity to interview Andrew Carnegie, at that point one of the wealthiest men on the planet. And Andrew saw something in Napoleon. He said, you know what, I'd like to make you an offer. I'm going to introduce you to 500 of the world's wealthiest men, and I'd like you to interview them to see how they got their wealth and report back. And Napoleon was probably thinking, that sounds awesome. But Carnegie said, I have 2 caveats. Number 1, I think that this is going to take you about 20 years to do. Number 2, I am not going to pay you a dime to do it. So Napoleon had a choice. He could stay where he was, relatively comfortable, or he could take a risk and potentially change the world. What Napoleon didn't know is that Andrew Carnegie had a stopwatch under his desk set for 60 seconds, at which point that offer would be off the table. Thankfully, Napoleon said yes with time to spare. And he had the opportunity to meet with Carnegie and Rockefeller and Wrigley and Ford and Edison and all these people who formed who we are today. And he put together 13 success principles, starting with book 1, chapter 1 of Habit Burning Desire. Love what you do. Decision making. Wealthy people make decisions quickly. They change them slowly because they're accessing that inner guidance. He talks about the associations, the people that you hang out with. Do they encourage you? Do they support you? Do they light up the room when they walk in the room? Or do they discourage you, hold you back, bring you down? They light up the room when they leave. Who are you hanging around with? In all of these chapters, it lets you concentrate on the things that you're doing so well, however that looks to you. Whether it be financial success, relationship success, life satisfaction, whatever that means to you, simply by focusing on the things that you want and surrounding yourself with supportive people, it makes it happen. So you've taken a look at the self and the practice of that gratitude journal. We've taken a look at our relationship with others and how we need to start sharing that verbally. And we've taken a look at our wealth, how being grateful for what we have helps us to get more. And so as I was trying to figure out what my last story would be, as I brought this message to a close, I wanted to do something different, something that I hadn't covered from the stage before. And I was really struggling for the last couple of weeks, knowing that this was coming up. I'm like, what am I going to share? But I also knew that at some point, the universe would give me that final story. And Friday, it did. Yep, I know we have one king in the audience. But right here, we're going to talk about the other King James. Love him or leave him, love him or not, 4 years ago, the city of Cleveland, Northeast Ohio, was devastated. Can we all agree that with LeBron making the decision and leaving, it was heart-wrenching? Not because he left. Goodness knows we've had tons of athletes leave Cleveland before. But with LeBron, it was different because we saw him grow up here. We saw him play in high school, and we saw him coming into his own and to his manhood, into his superstardom. And when he left without acknowledging that love, without acknowledging that passion that we had, without thanking us, we were devastated. And that's when the jersey burning started. And that's when the booing began for the last 4 years. And yet, it shows that Northeast Ohio has the opportunity and does forgive with appreciation, with acknowledgement, with gratitude. Because LeBron came back with humility, with grace, and with no fanfare other than a letter that he posted on SI, sportsillustrated.com. And I just want to read a short portion of the letter in case you haven't heard it, because I really think that it sums up a lot of what we're talking about here today. Because no one ever cared where I would play basketball. I was a kid from Northeast Ohio. It's where I walked. It's where I ran. It's where I cried. It's where I bled. It holds a special place in my heart. People there have seen me grow up. I sometimes feel like I was their son. Their passion can be overwhelming, but it drives me. I want to give them hope when I can. I want to inspire them when I can. My relationship with Northeast Ohio is bigger than basketball. I didn't realize that 4 years ago, I do now. So see where that transition goes from acknowledging our hurt and bringing us back to the present right here where we can be grateful starting right now. But this is not about the roster or the organization. I feel my calling here goes above basketball. I have a responsibility to lead in more ways than one. In Northeast Ohio, nothing is given, everything is earned. You work for what you have. I'm ready to accept the challenge I'm coming home. And so with open arms, arms out, as if he is taking Northeast Ohio into his arms in a big hug, he is wrapping us in his embrace. Let us look at this lesson of being able to leave the past behind, the past hurts, the past lack of acknowledgement, the past lack of graciousness, and starting today to heal those relationships. And we can do that through gratitude. So start your gratitude journal. Say thank you to somebody. And be grateful for what you have, and you too will sow the seeds of gratitude, create the cycle of creation, and I appreciate all of you.